hearing and say, gee, 18 years ago, the trails didn't stay in the air. Now they do. And gee, scientists went up in their own planes and tested it. It's aluminum dioxide, barium salts. And jeepers creepers, the government admits they're doing tests with these very things 18 years later. But we're not good because we were proven right. We're bad. Bad man.
It's about getting a global approval to live your life, and that includes...
Well, I'm just thankful to all these chicken neck control freak eugenicists spraying my family with poison. Thank you, Ted Turner. Thank you, Bill Gates. Thank you, chicken neck Holdren. Thank you, Dr. Eric Pianka. All of you eugenicists, thank you for all your evil and your control freak. I mean, you just see human life, and it's the ultimate control freak thing. You've just got to screw it all up. Thank you for all you've done. I suggest you line up first to get rid of yourselves. Oh, but you won't. You have to be guardians of the mass murder. Aaron, in conclusion, this is about toxifying the soils and coming out with GMO crops that can only live in it. That's all admitted. It's about having derivatives that bet on the weather and then they actually rig it and control it. Control casino. But it's mainly, as the memorandums you showed at the start, it's about population reduction. And they've said, if you don't pay your IMF World Bank dues, even if you don't owe it, we're just going to shut your water off. And our public's going to watch football games and praise torture. We'll just say you're Al-Qaeda when millions of you starve to death. You understand? Pay us, we own you. And now they're taking the bank accounts of the American people. That is coming up with Joe Salente. And I guess, in a way, we're actually the bad people. 60 seconds, final summary.
Yeah, you remember the Simpsons episode where Mr. Burns blocks out the sun so he could sell electricity. It may not be the exact same thing going on here, but it's similar. They want to control all the important elements of the atmosphere, of our environment, of our lives, of our right to reproduce. Yeah, they want to kill us or make us pay to live, basically.
But we're lucky we have them. Aaron, take us to break. Salente's coming up. The beekeeper's coming up.
Look, there's a lot more. We're going
another extremist who's sad the bees are all dying. I mean, another part. It'll be good when the bees all die. The bankers know best.
Yeah.
Why not spray the little bees with aluminum?
And because they figured out a few things with DNA, it makes sense to modify our food and grow it in labs.
Well, see, that's the plan. After they kill everything, then they come back and re-engineer life with a patent. And that's what even Monsanto said about 12 years ago.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Well, what's wrong with that? These are loving people. Hey, you wonder why your 25-year-old wife's dying of breast cancer? You wonder why your 3-year-old's getting the Parkinson's type disease? You wonder why cancer's up 3,000% in diabetes? Because these people are murdering us, and they like it. And they think you're obsessed with football and your pedophile football leaders and the rest of them, and they think you're too weak to wake up and realize these psychos are attacking you. You know, people always think that tyrants are going to look like the last bunch. They're not going to look like Fidel Castro or Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin. They're going to look like John P. Holdren and David Rockefeller. You can either wake up to these tyrants and recognize them now, or they're going to win. I tried my best. Just an average Texan fighting hard. Incredible job to the crew, incredible dedication, and great job to all of you out there who support us. We couldn't do this without you. Get this video from Infowars Nightly News at prisonplanet.tv and get it out to everybody. They're openly moving to start shutting down the web, as we covered earlier. This transmission must get out. If you're listening to us, you are the resistance. It's now up to you. I hand you the baton. You catch it. It's up to you. I can't do it without you. We're in this together. If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the Infowars store at Infowars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe Infowars T-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at Infowars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there. Wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at Infowars.com today. The water filters, the canteens. It's all there. Infowars.com. And we are back on this Tuesday, November 15th, 2011 edition of Infowars Nightly News. We just broke down how our environment is being assaulted in what is admitted to be a global secret program of geoengineering. It's an admission that there is a secret program going on. We need to know exactly what that program entails and how this aluminum dioxide, barium salts, and sulfur dioxide is affecting not just plant and animal life, but human life as well, as the levels of toxic metals goes up in our soil. And our next guest is going to speak to one of the real canaries in the coal mine of the different biospheres that are on this planet. And then Gerald Celente is joining us, of course, after that. He has had his bank account robbed, all part of the globalist world depression that's being engineered. He had the gold out of his account stolen. Just incredible information breaking here. Coming up with Gerald Celente after this interview. Now, Conrad Buffard, if I'm pronouncing that right,
yes, sir,
is our guest. And let me tell you, we are so blessed to have somebody like this right here in Central Texas. He is recognized by many publications, and I have a list of them here, as one of the leading beekeepers in the world. He has the largest beekeeping school in the world. That is undisputed. He started out in bee removal instead of just killing bees that are so important for our environment and the entire life cycle from plants on up. He specialized in that, and he got so busy he quit being a school teacher and moved on from there to now being one of the most successful beekeepers in the world. And his honey is also, of course, shipped all over the United States and the world. And I was mentioning to him that my uncle had worked for Fain's Honey going back, 20 years ago. And he said, oh, yes, we work with Fain's. So I know that's another company that's real raw honey, not mixing in corn syrup or all that other garbage. And they don't strain out all the good stuff that's in it. So we're going to talk about what is real honey, what's happening with colony collapse all over the world, and this report by Texas A&M that 76 or 77%, depending on the brand they tested, of major companies had no honey in it. And I mean that as an oxymoron or as a pun, because it's not honey if it doesn't have pollen in it, and he's going to explain that. It's no longer honey. It's been cooked. It's been totally changed. And it's great to have you here, Conrad. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to just give you the floor. You heard the points I threw out, run through it, and where we stand today.
Sure. Well, this article was like a godsend for most beekeepers, especially beekeepers that are interested in producing raw, unfiltered, unheated honey. And it basically revealed what most all beekeepers know, that the large honey companies are filtering out the pollen and the large sugar crystals and cooking honey from raw honey when they get it in to put it on the shelf, because they believe that consumers want that. They believe that the consumers want honey that isn't really honey by definition. Honey by definition includes the nectar from plants that bees have converted, through their natural processes into the syrupy part of honey, and then the pollen. And the pollen is a critical part. If you take that out, it's not honey. And so, anyone can tell you that honey has to have pollen. So when some of these larger companies come around, and as they've been doing for years now, and take all the pollen out, it does nothing good for the consumer, and it's kind of like taking the engine out of a car.
That's like the system telling us we want white Wonder Bread and not wheat bread. But over the decades, they found, the public doesn't really want that. And when you have allergies, they say eat local honey because it has the allergens in the area. I mean, that's always what's been in honey. That's part of it. And can you speak to, there's a lot of research done on the amazing health benefits of real raw honey, like Round Rock honey. We've got here on the table.
Yeah, there are many benefits to honey. It's been shown to reduce blood pressure. It, in my opinion, has been, and the opinion of many other experts, has been shown to reduce allergies or allergic reactions, histamine-type reactions, rather. It, taken over time, it can normalize blood sugar levels. If you have a wound on your skin, if you get burned, you can put honey on it, and it will actually help heal that wound, because honey naturally draws water and keeps the skin moist. It helps.
And it was the only thing still surviving in the Egyptian tombs, 3,000 years old.
Yeah, honey is the only food in nature that's naturally, self-preserving. That's why you can put it in a bottle. You could put it in this glass bottle here and come back in 5,000 years, and it would still be totally edible.
What are the big companies, and we have a list of them, that you see dominating store shelves where it's almost completely clear like water,
right.
And it tastes terrible. I don't like the processed honey. As a child, my mother would buy both kinds. I always liked the real brown honey. And more and more people are starting, obviously, to buy the real honey because I see it starting to displace the establishment, so-called natural stuff. But what is that stuff that's on the shelves that is devoid of any flavor and doesn't have any pollen in it?
Sure, it's honey that, and not all honey producers are doing this, but it's mostly among the large honey producers. And typically what they do is, they filter out all the pollen, they heat it above 130 degrees, sometimes for days on end. And the reason why they do that is they want to make all the sugar crystals inside the honey the same size, and they want to filter out all the pollens, because the pollens are, of course, what make it crystallize quicker. So they think, that crystallized honey is bad, and they know what's best for the consumer, so they're going to tell the consumer that it's bad. And it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy that that some consumers believe this, but actually, in reality, if you were to go around to most consumers, they believe that they want honey straight out of the hive because it's a God-given product. There's nothing wrong with honey as it comes straight out of the hive. In fact, you can go like I did when I first started keeping bees over here in East Austin and pull a hive straight out of a church wall or out of a home, the wall of a home or out of an attic, and eat it right there. And it's completely edible.
Well, that's what I buy, and we actually have listeners that also send it to us. I buy the sliced cord, right. And that's what I like, and then I just spit the wax out.
Right.
I mean, that has the real flavor when it's in the. I mean, obviously you're the expert, but just my taste buds like in the comb.
Right, right. And if you take comb honey, usually at the bottom of each cell of the comb, there's usually a little bit more pollen that just because of gravity that collects in the bottom part there. So, if you're eating comb honey, you're getting, a little bit more, a little bit higher concentration of pollen. That's just based on my own experience. And then also chewing the wax helps, remove all sorts of things from your teeth. It's a good way to manage tartar in your teeth.
From your research, why? I mean, even medical doctors tell people that have allergies, you need to go and you start eating a lot of local honey when allergy season kicks in. And I've done it myself. It really alleviates a lot of it. What's happening?
You mean when
you eat the local honey, why is it helping with allergies?
I see what you're saying. So you're taking in a small amount of pollen, and you're having a small immune reaction, and over time your body builds up a tolerance to that. It's the same concept as allergy shots, building up tolerance over time until you're at such a point where you don't react anymore to that particular pollen.
Now, I want to get into the fact that you have the largest beekeeping school
right.
In the world. That's great that you're bringing real, true agriculture back to society.
Right.
And I'm also interested in what I've read about tax incentives where people can, even on small pieces of property, knock their property taxes down to almost nothing if they beekeep. I was reading where Bon Jovi has like some $10 million piece of property, but he pays $100 a year. I'm very interested in that because I think we live out in the country. My wife's like, let's get the ag exemption with some donkeys. And I'm like, no, let's do bees. But right. Before we get into that business angle of avoiding the big, wicked tax man who wants to squeeze us to pay it to offshore bankers, what about the crisis bees are going through? There's all these different reports that it's the pesticides, the BT corn, the cell towers, the chemtrails. I'm sure it's a cocktail of things, but from your deep research, because you are respected around the world by folks for being one of the biggest beekeepers out there, what's your gut dead reckoning that's causing this, and how big is the crisis? I've seen numbers in some areas of 80% of the bees gone.
Right, and I think that that's true. I don't. I think that I couldn't put a number on it, but I can say that I don't know a single beekeeper who is doing pollination, like cross-continent pollination, who hasn't lost more than half of his hives. And
I saw that as the average. Some areas around 80, they were saying.
Right, right. And areas like upstate New York, some parts of Southern California, and this is just talking to people I know in those areas, they've lost everything. I mean, forget 80, 90%. They've lost 100%. They lost every single hive.
Wow.
And I don't know the man, but I heard from another person who knows a gentleman in Florida who took his hives to Montana. And when he got there, the bees were alive. They came back, I think it was 7-10 days later, and literally every hive, there wasn't a bee around anywhere. I mean, they were just gone. And so what that tells me, and also based on just my gut feeling, is that it is exposure to pesticides, and it's a new class of pesticides. There's been a lot of research on neonicotinoids and other types of pesticides like that. Of course, that may not be 100% of the reason. There may be other things like travel fatigue with the cross-country pollination and stuff like that. But it wasn't. Things didn't get really bad until these other chemicals started being